bakers or carpenters. And then the poor women, they were either hairdressers, midwives, or dressmakers. And depending on your economic class, depends on where you live. Like the bottom floor and the first floor were like the wealthy people, like they had big rooms and all. And then the upper floors were small and usually cramped for a whole family to live in.
The diet of Romans depended on if they were rich or not. The poor people got like a monthly allowance of grain. And they ate once in the day at like 4 or like 6 in the afternoon. Shopping was done daily for the food because there was no refrigeration. And the wealthy people enjoyed spices and wine and stuff, while the poor people usually only ate bread and drank water out of a community fountain.
It's okay.
Depending on economic status. The city remained a mixture of wealthy and poverty. I know the word, leave me alone. Side by side. The wealthy and the gain of slave labor, where it was feeding water in the bath, serving their every evening meal.
One today was divided between the business was only conducted in the morning. Most Romans worked for 6 hours a day, beginning taking up some shops, might reopen in early evening, city schools, keep the afternoon with wholesale
He was born and died in Rome, Italy, and his dad died when he was 16 years old, and he stayed close to his mom after his dad died. Julius married a woman named Cornelia. Her father tried to take down their marriage. Her father told Julius that if he did not get a divorce with her, he would have his property, or he would lose it. When their father died, Julius moved back to Rome with Cornelia. In 74 BC, he got his own army and conquered so many places. In 62 BC, he and Cornelia got a divorce, and she passed away 9 years later.
As we all know, of course, Julius Caesar was a hoe. That's what they live. So later on, Julius, after she died, he ain't care. So he got 2 other wives. Their names were Pompeia, whatever her name is, and Calpurnia. Julius and Pompeia got married 5 years after Cornelia and Julius got a divorce. Pompeia, Sylvia's granddaughter, in the 67 BC, back in the day. They took part in an annual gathering of Roman women called the Bonadia Festival, held at Caesar's house. Their son found a man disguising himself as a woman, and then they asked him why he was there. Then the man told him that he had fell in love with Pompeia, and then he wasn't for sure if, she was playing him or she was cheating, so it's the same difference. So, he divorced her and moved on to the next, without a doubt. So, there y'all have it.
In 59 BC, he had his third wife, Calpurnia, and they got married when she was just a teenager. They ended up dying together, but he had affairs on the side. In 59 BC, he was elected government official, or a government permission. A Roman general named Crassus showed interest in Caesar's rise to power. Crassus was cited as the wealthiest man in Rome history. He offered financial and political support to Caesar. Caesar secured the governmentship of Gaul so he could have a bigger military and become one of Rome's best leaders. Gaul, Cassius, Longinus, and Marcus Junius Brutus were both former enemies who joined the Senate. Together, the two of them led the assassination of Julius Caesar on the Ides on March 15, 44 BC.
And Pompey and Crassus finally realized they're better as allies than enemies.
is Julius. Or no, it's Gaius Julius Caesar. He was born around 100 BC, and his mom's name is Aurelia. I think that's how you pronounce it. Aurelia, and then his dad is Gaius Caesar, and both of those are Julius. And his family they weren't royal, but they had noble and patrician roots. And his family wasn't really important in the early parts of history, but later they became more important. And then after his father's death, he had to marry a woman, and then a man by Solia, I think that's how you pronounce that. He came into power, and then he wanted Julius to divorce his wife, and Julius refused. He was gonna go to be executed, but he went in hiding, and then his friends finally got him a pardon.
He was a well-known general, and he conquered France and invaded Britain twice. I hate you guys. When he was sailing to Greece, he was kidnapped by pirates, but he was well cared for. While he was held captive, he told the pirates that he would have them crucified. Once his men came for him, he did that, but before he crucified them, he slit their throats so they wouldn't suffer as bad, because they were kind to him.
And that's going to conquer.
Because he was so well known, he became a part of something called the Triumvirate. And this was it was a political alliance to make the Roman Republic a better place. And the members of the Triumvirate was Pompey, who was the commander-in-chief of the army, Crassus, the richest man in Rome, and of course Julius Caesar, who held the alliance together because Crassus and Pompey didn't like each other. When Crassus died, Pompey and Caesar had to split the land, but they had a disagreement. So, the Senate sided with Pompey, and they wanted to force Caesar to give up his land, but he refused, so he decided to attack with his army, and that's how he became the ultimate leader of Rome.
Julius was married 3 times. He had a fling with Calpetra or something like that. He had a kid with her. They did not get married because he was from Rome and she was from Egypt, and it was against Roman law for him to marry someone out of Rome. And he had an affair with 2 other women along with that. Julius was assassinated and stabbed more than 20 times by Roman senators, and the senators that still did not like him. He was Julius Caesar nephew, known as Augustus, was later the leader of Rome, and he created the first empire of Rome, which is now known as Rome.
Right here. The games were played in the Roman Colosseum, and that's how it used to look, and that's how it looks right now. Okay.
So, horseback riding was an expectation for every Roman to be a good equestrian. Running was a competition between boys. They competed in foot races, and an ideal location was Camp Martis or something like that.
Hunting and fishing were practiced among the Roman elites. This is like, I guess, fishing. And boys were accompanied by their fathers to learn marksmanship on hunting expeditions when they were young.
Yep. Swimming was a favorite activity of the boys.
Ball games were participated in by Romans, including handball, soccer, field hockey, catch games, and perhaps even dodgeball.
Nah!
Bravo!
Okay, whenever you're ready, you start.
It's going to be great. Here we go. In the Elizabethan era of time, there was a very strong difference between the classes of society and clothing. The higher classes wore very lavish breeches, which is pants, and other sorts of blouses, which is the lower classes wore one material clothing most of the time. I was thinking when I typed that, using ropes and burlap, and sometimes even out of animal pelts or whatever they could find.
Crops and agriculture, the Elizabethan era, men were responsible for plowing and weeding, sowing in the seeds, and applying the fertilizer. Women were responsible for helping the men harvest the crops and winnowing. When they were not doing this, they were to cook, clean, and sew, and do all of the mental tasks around the house. Farmers in the southern and eastern areas cultivated grain and raised cattle.
Okay, so the wealth status really depended on what kind of food they ate. The upperclassmen had all kinds of meat and fancy fowl. They had pork, beef, mutton, whatever that is, bacon, what?
Sheep.
Oh, it's sheep. Why would you need a sheep? Anyways, bacon, veal, deer, swan, goose, and peacock. That's peacock, by the way.
That peacock.
Yeah.
Is that a goose? We read that.
That's a swan. That's a goose.
We did?
That's, I'm gonna assume that's like a lamb chop. That's deer and that's bacon. Breakfast was between 6 and 7 a.m., dinner at midday, and then supper was between 5 and 8. So, like us, they often had 3 meals a day. Poor people, however, couldn't afford much red meat, so they ate white meat like chicken and rabbit and hare. That's the same thing, Summer. Anyways, along with birds like blackbirds and pigeons, everyone ate fish on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth wore simple gowns for 2 to 3 times a week. She dressed to impress. She had a different dress for every occasion, and she often wore lots of jewelry such as diamonds, pearls, and sapphires, which you can tell. And she had to wear lots of makeup because in 1562 she had smallpox, which left lots of scars on her face. And she used to make her own makeup, but she found out that it's bad for your health because it gave her lead poisoning.
They had 3 meals a day, breakfast 6 to 7 a.m., lunch 12, and dinner 5 to 8 p.m. The rich enjoyed all kinds of meats, freshwater seafood, even fruits and veggies. The poor ate what they hunted, such as rabbits and fish.
Oh, my turn. Okay. The class structure, they had music, poetry, and literature. William Shakespeare composed half the plays. And the women's rows, Elizabethan embraced the Renaissance. And if you disobeyed the Queen, you was punished by death, and operated at 3 levels. There was a national level, regional level, and Define of Rights the King level. And yeah.
The Globe Theater opened in 1599 and was characterized by a tug of war between disapproving puritanical attitude to the theater by city councils and by royal approval on the Shakespeare began his career on the stage by 1592 and acted in some of the plays on the Globe Theater. The theater did art, music, religion, science, philosophy, and literature. All through the Middle Ages, English drama was religious and didactic. Okay, I'm done.